Yes, welcome back, beautiful souls. Of course, you're carrying on with all the hype, all the magic, and especially when it comes to our films this morning. And we are talking about the immersive world of films, fast-paced car chases which take place on crowded freeways, violent battles ensue between heroes and villains, and devastating explosions light up the screen. Now, while we know that these are all happening in a fictional realm, pulling off these stunts in the real world involves very real, dangerous, and sometimes fatal risks. Now, we are calling upon the legal guidance of our friend and expert in law, director at legalese.co.za, Eitan Stern in the building, and he's here to answer the question. I want to make sure my film production set is safe, so now what? Eitan, so now what? How are you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. This is something that obviously I've been also getting into the acting space.
I know. I saw you do one-arm push-ups earlier.
Yeah, I'm trying to go for a new movie role. The broken arm guy. But listen, man, when it comes to our film industry, obviously there's a lot of rules, there's regulations with any film set. Is it necessary to have some sort of a person, a figure, a safety officer perhaps that is on set, and what's the importance?
Yes, so certainly. So it's a requirement for all film sets to have a safety officer or a medic or someone there to ensure that the film is safe. And they have certain guidelines that they need to ensure that the set applies to. So, you know, that's going to be certain fire safety guidelines, medical safety guidelines. And so definitely there's a designated person. It's called a safety officer, and they need to be there on set. And you'll even find a lot of big events are required. You're required to have a safety officer or a medic involved. So certainly if there's any, you know, if there's a film production or gathering of large amounts of people, there's always going to be regulations about how to keep it safe.
Yeah. If there's someone like that on set that I realize is not actually there,
yes.
Can I complain about it?
100%, you should.
Okay, so that's something that's imperative. You've got to make sure that is happening.
If you're working on a big set and there isn't a safety officer, you need to chat to the production company to address that, because it's putting people at risk.
Okay, all right. And then with regards to, I think we've got our occupational health safety in South Africa, right? Does that cover the extreme scenario with regards to maybe someone like a stuntman? I mean, what is their cover involved here?
Okay, for sure. So stuntmen and women, their job is to kind of do the dangerous things on set. And, you know, if you're running any workspace needs to adhere to the Occupational Health and Safety Act. And so if you have stunt people doing stunts on set, you need to make sure that certain procedures have taken place to keep them as safe as possible. So obviously with stunt people, the job is more dangerous than, you know, say my job of sitting at a desk. So there's going to be, you know, more leniency or you know, like the scenarios are going to be more dangerous. But even in dangerous scenarios, there's requirements of what a production company needs to do in order to make sure that their stunt people are kept safe.
Are kept safe. Now, obviously a crazy incident that occurred with regards to Alec Baldwin on set, firing off a live round during that film. Now, a lot of issues, a lot of questions as we've seen an ongoing investigation. But with regards to someone like a stuntman or someone on that film, I mean, these crazy things happen all the time. Is there some sort of like a special insurance that one needs to take out, a life policy?
Yeah.
Or is it all being covered by the set? Are you able to just kind of know, look, I'm going on the set now, I don't have to stress about it, it's all covered? Or do you need to look after yourself in these instances?
So it's an interesting case, this. I mean, it's a devastating and terrible case. And if I'm speaking to people in the film industry locally, it turns out South Africa has got an unbelievably good track record with stunt people and with firearms on set. And I believe, I've been told this by people in the film industry, that South African film industry has never had an incident with a live round.
Well, let me just touch wood and make sure that stays the same.
Touch wood, but I think that speaks a lot to the safety that we have on set here and the quality of the people in our film industry. The Stunt Persons Association in South Africa does, they have a standard contract that they require, that they want their members to use, and that does require that the production companies have professional indemnity insurance and full liability insurance in place to make sure that if anything does go wrong, the stunt person or anyone on set can claim against them. Okay. But certainly if you are a stunt person or if you are anyone that puts your life into danger for your work, then it's really important to have some aspect of personal insurance, and that might be income protection or life insurance. You know, we insure our cars, we insure our laptops. You know, if you are putting yourself in danger daily, like insure yourself, because if something goes wrong and you can't work, that's your bond, that's your family, that's your rent. So, you know, you can get these insurances for yourself, and I really do recommend.
I like that. It's almost like you are the asset, so protect it as best as you can, right?
100%.
And I like the fact that you're speaking about, and what you mentioned about South Africa. I definitely see this drive in terms of film happening in the country, and I think one of those reasons is exactly for the fact that we are holding true to our safety regulations when it comes to being on set. So that's a good tick in the box. Of course, Zanzi, don't go anywhere. Eitan Stern's going to be here. We're going to unpacking more about stuntmen, more about explosions, more about safety in the workplace and on set. So don't go anywhere. But for now, we've got some entertainment coming your way. Check it out.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Legal advice for the ages from the man himself. Mr. Eitan Stern is here. We are continuing our discussion with lawyer and director at legalese.co.za, Eitan Stern, as he breaks down the legal ins and outs of dangerous stunt work and explosive work on film sets here in South Africa and what legal measures are taken to keep sets safe. Obviously, we are discussing this in light of the tragic story involving Alec Baldwin. I think most of us who have worked on sets just keep thinking, how on earth did a live round end up on a set?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is a movie set, because of the amount of working parts, is a dangerous place, whether you're doing stunts or not.
Yes.
Massive lighting rigs, a huge amount of technology that's involved there.
Quite dangerous in here this morning, to be honest with
And
you.
yeah, it's got that kind of feel. You've got to stay on your toes this morning. And but I think that's some of the joy of being on set, but it gets real very quickly.
Totally.
And you feel that kind of sense. Are we covered? What are the legal kind of ins and outs when it comes to safety in general on set? Who's in charge?
Okay, so again, you've got this Occupational Health and Safety Act, and that requires the production company to ensure that they keep a safe environment. And obviously, again, that's going to differ a little bit if you're talking about an office or whether you're talking about a film set, but it's up to the production company to ensure that all people on set, whether employees, stunt people, independent contractors, you know, or people doing deliveries, whoever's arriving on set, that there's a safe environment for them to work in. And that goes for all employers out there.
And we've covered that, yes, there is a certain amount of, in our first discussion, onus on the individual to make sure that you are protected, that you have your own insurance. But we know that our industry, it kind of rests on this brotherhood of people looking after each other. Are there bodies, support groups that we can rely on for support in that space?
Totally. So there's a couple of different organizations. So depending on where you fit within the film industry, there's the Independent Producers Association, and there's the Stunt Persons Association. There's a whole lot of other ones. I'm hoping they'll be able to put some of the organizations up on screen, because I can't remember all the acronyms offhand. But pretty much whatever you do within the film industry, there's an industry body to look after you. And the reason that exists is because, for the most part, people working in film are independent contractors. They're not full-time employees. They get hired per job. So their bargaining power is quite low because they're just, you know, one person on a big set. So there are these industry bodies to look after writers, directors, stunt people. So I would say it's important that if you are in the film industry, find out who your industry body is, support them, and so they can support you.
And speak to them, and they are very good in South Africa.
Sure.
And you mentioned our impeccable record when it comes to safety on set, and I think that's because our bodies are in the right place and they're doing the work that they need to. Returning to the tragic story, of course, Helena Hutchins, the cinematographer, ended up losing her life. And effectively, she was shot by Alec Baldwin. Her family, do they have legal recourse with Alec? Who do they go after? And we know that nothing will ever address this kind of imbalance.
Yeah, for sure. But it's
ultimately, you want to see blame land somewhere.
Yeah, like
Can they sue Alec Baldwin?
What happens in this thing? So kind of two answers to that. If you think back to our old buddy Oscar, and when he shot Reva, and his defense was run around, he did it unintentionally. So in order to murder someone in the law, you have to fit certain criteria. One of them is intention. And so, you know, if Alec Baldwin if you kill someone by mistake, which is not intentionally and not negligently, so he didn't, you know...
Wasn't drunk driving.
Or he didn't pick up a live gun and shoot in the wrong direction by mistake. So it was a complete mistake. So there wasn't any aspect of intention. So it's extremely unlikely that Alec Baldwin could be in any trouble for that unless intention was proven. South Africa also has rules around vicarious liability. So if you're an employee or worker and you do something while in the course and scope of your employment and you commit a crime or hurt someone, the production company or whoever your employer was could be vicariously liable. So it is possible that if you follow this chain down, you might find someone on the set who was negligent. Imagine whoever the person charged with dealing with guns.
You would think the armorer in this case is the guy.
So it is possible that the armorer lands up in trouble, but I don't know enough about the facts of the matter or about American liability law to know. But I think the best thing that can happen from this, I hope if someone is at blame that they land up in some sort of trouble, but just, as a wake-up call for film productions everywhere, we all love the big movie scenes, but it's really important that as movies get bigger and bigger, safety gets stronger.
You're shooting movies in space. You best be sure the safety elements are in place.
Nothing can hurt Tom Cruise. Okay?
Exactly.
So he's fine.
This version of Tom Cruise, this clone of Tom Cruise, nothing is going to hurt him. Well, look, you talk about liability. We know in America liability law is on a different level, so I'm sure there will be repercussions, but I think we can rest assured, at least from a South African perspective, that we are getting it right here, but take nothing away from the terrible tragedy that took place, and we certainly feel for all of those involved.